Good morning, everybody. I'm Nick Rishwain, and today I'm the Vice President of Experts.com, and today this blab is brought to you by Experts.com. We are hosting for some friends in the legal tech industry. Today we're featuring Designation Station. We've got Chris Grimm and Pablo Zeiter with us today. Full disclosure, Pablo is a relative of mine. That's why he's so good looking, and and they've got this really cool deposition designation technology going on that Chris has developed. And Chris, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you came to, and start with how Designation Station works, and how you came to do it.
Sure. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the designation and deposition process, it probably helps to discuss that briefly. Typically, depositions are taken, when people are getting ready for trial, and it's basically an interview between the attorney and the witness. And nowadays, most of them are filmed by a videographer with a court reporter. And the way it works now is that you get the video and you get the transcript, the typed out transcript, and there are software applications that will match the two of those together. So what that allows you to do is you'll be able to search for specific text. You'll be able to jump right to that portion of the video. So that's kind of the background there. The way that things are designated is by referencing the page and the line of the transcript, which obviously corresponds to a particular section of video. So that's kind of the way that people go about creating designations and what that references. And so just to give you a little background about myself, I'm a trial consultant, and I've been doing it for about 12 years or so. And I do presentations at court. So I work with the legal teams when they're getting ready for trial. And then when we actually go to trial, I'll be in court running the computer systems and bringing up video and documents and whatever other kind of things that we need to show the judge or the jury. So that's kind of the background there. So what our software does is, the way that it's currently done in managing these deposition designations and transcripts and stuff, it's a very laborious manual process. And it takes people a lot of time, depending on what applications they're using to get these things done. So for example, a lot of attorneys want to have a hard copy transcript, and they'll actually pull the highlighter out of the jar and go through and actually manually highlight the transcript and then hand it to a paralegal or somebody else. And their job is to type in all the corresponding numbers from the actual hard copy transcript that has been highlighted. So as you can imagine, depending on what you're using to do that, you're sitting there typing these things out. It's not fun. It takes a long time to do, and inevitably you're going to make mistakes. And so that's kind of the premise for, the software that we developed. And so what we do is we take those designations either in numeric format, if they've already been typed up, or the actual highlighted transcript. And you can do the highlighting in the application if you want, but you can also just pop numbers in. And it does a number of things in terms of formatting, checking for errors, cleaning your data up and getting it into a workable format. And then it also does a couple other more unique functions, which are removing duplicates, removing overlapping testimony, and combining adjacent designations together. And all of that stuff right now, it's super time consuming, and it's just very tedious. And this program will do it in a matter of seconds, and your data is going to be perfect.
Right. And so how did you as a trial consultant, how did you see the need for this and then get to work creating it?
Sure. So most of the time in my role, I'll receive the designation sort of at the end of the process or towards the end of the process. And the people that I work with usually want a couple things. They want to find out what the run times are for the testimony that they've selected. They also want to get highlighted, color-coded copies of transcripts so that they can take a look at the testimony that's been designated. And also, you know, I'm putting together and editing the video that's actually going to be played back in court.
Okay.
So that's kind of where I got a hold of it. The problem that arose was that there's just so much data out there, and the more people that are deposed, the more designations you're going to have, and it just gets to the point where it's almost unmanageable with the amount of stuff that's kind of coming in. And to be able to sift through it all and clean it up and check it and make sure that there's no problems, and to be able to turn around those things that people want to get back, like the runtimes, the highlighted transcripts, and the video, it was just taking way longer than it should. It turned into a nightmare on larger cases.
Mm-hmm.
So I started trying to figure out a way that would be much more efficient to kind of do this process. And slowly I would put together these batch files and things like that would accomplish small portions of things that I was just doing over and over and over again. And then it got to the point where it actually started to get easier.
Okay.
And, you know, some of these projects that were otherwise, you know, just insurmountable became something that I could handle in a day or two, you know? So then we just kind of kept developing it, and it ended up becoming something that was much more powerful when everything was kind of put together.
And did you have a coding background before you did this?
I did not. It's kind of funny. I just would build like little batch files in DOS just to kind of manage. I don't know. It was the best I could do, but it started to get results. And if I found myself doing something 10 times, I thought there's probably a way to automate this so I don't have to do it an 11th time. And then after a while, and I had all these different applications that I was in, all these processes that I was running, I was thinking, you know, there's probably got to be something better out there than DOS that's, you know, a lot more powerful. So I started looking at some online stuff about Ruby and started learning that programming language. And then once I did that, it was just like, wow, there's so much stuff you can do with it. And there's so many ways you can store data and manipulate it in a much, much easier way than DOS allows you to. And then from there, it was super easy to kind of streamline stuff.
Excellent. So, and now you guys, you got the website, you've got a cool video that I'm actually going to share for people here. How does the program work today? How does an attorney, we've got Nabil in the room, our CEO, and we've got Mitch in the room, and we got a question here from Tamara. Let's start with Tamara. So is this product that you sell as a license to use, or do you do the work for the attorney? And you can maybe explain that, which was leading into where I was headed.
Sure. And Pablo, if you want to jump in on any of those.
Yeah, no, we absolutely sell it. We are a website, so we're in the cloud. All you have to do is set up an account on our website, and you can pay per use. So there's no upfront costs or monthly costs associated with it. So you absolutely do everything on your own, but we're here to help you get started. And Chris is always happy to help you get started on the first couple transcripts, but it saves a ton of time.
And so an attorney contacts you, they've got, let's just start with a single deposition that they need to designate, or tell me how it works. So if I contact you, I want to do I got a big case, I want to do some deposition designations.
Sure. So you could just go to the website, designationstation.com, and you'll see an easy way to sign up. And then you just create an account, and it will create an account for you, and you put in your payment info, and then you upload your transcript, or you just add the deponent to the system and create a project, and you're off to the races. Okay.
And I've got one deposition. How much does it cost me to have one deposition transcript? What do you call it? One deposition designated? What's the terminology there?
Yeah, so it's $99 per transcript, and that's kind of the way we've been saying it. It is, and by transcript, it's by deponent on a particular day. It's kind of the way that these everything kind of gets broken out as a standard. So your designations would correspond to that particular transcript.
Okay. And so
and it's just a one-time fee. There's no licensing fees or anything like that. And you can have as many users as you want in your account. There's no fee for that. So if you've got a team of 30 people, all 30 can sign up, and the administrator kind of runs that so that they would add the people to your account. But again, it's just the $99 fee to add a transcript.
And this is, so in my experience, and I don't know if Nabil can come in and ask a question. So this is going to date myself. Chris, you're already aware of this. But in my experience, we had the deposition, which was in paper form, and we had the legal pad, and we would have to, show, okay, on we need line 20 through 27, and we'd have to really go down and designate what was said in lines 20 through 27. Maybe we'd have to summarize something that was covered in that line. How does this change that, other than besides the fact that we don't have to use the paper any longer?
Sure. Well, it changes in a number of ways. I mean, really the easiest thing is that if you wanted to do it through the application, you could, and you could see quickly like your cumulative runtime, which I think a lot of people, as they're designating stuff, currently can't do. And it's also easy to print out, like we were saying, the colored copies of the transcript, so that, if you're working with a team, everybody can either, if you're printing out the PDF, you can send it around to the team so that people can see what's been designated, or other people can just have an account and log in and look at it. And it is a way to, and I think we briefly touched on it, but it is a way when you are working with a team to sort of, everybody can designate what they want, and this will consolidate it all in a very quick and concise manner, so that you don't have to worry about, so-and-so did this and so-and-so did this, but we've both done the same thing here. We can't have it in there twice. This will resolve that. Okay.
And I guess my next question would be, this takes from, I used to have to spend hours doing it that way. So it would seem to me that this would save a lot of time. I guess if you're on the insurance defense side, you're probably getting paid for those hours anyway. But if you're a plaintiff's attorney, it's probably a cost-effective way to deal with this and save the time.
Yeah, and one of the other things too I would mention in terms of time savings is that a lot of this stuff, as a consultant, people would send it over to me. For example, the run times. So if you've got a witness that you only have an hour to present, in terms of scheduling, somebody will spend a good chunk of the day designating and figuring out what they want to show. They send it to me. It takes me an hour to get the run times right now with the tools that I have outside of Designation Station. And then I'll send it back to them and say, listen, you've designated 2 hours of testimony. So they take another crack at it. They send it back to me. It takes me another hour. I tell them, you've got an hour and 20 minutes. Send it back to them. They take another crack at it. Now we're down to an hour 7. So they got to shave another 7 minutes off. And that back and forth just takes, it's time and money. I mean, now if you're doing it that way, and even if you're not designating within that application, if you do have the page and line numbers, you can just pop them in and see how long it is. So you're not spending more money on doing that. And it also, in my mind, allows you to have a little more power back in the firm, because you are able to do some more of these tasks that otherwise you'd have to go outside for consultant help.
Okay.
On those things.
And now Mitch, he has a question, Mitch Jackson, who is personal injury and wrongful death down in San Diego. And he says, do we use your company to schedule depositions, and or can we use third-party companies we're already using and then add your service? So is that a service you're offering?
Sure. We do not do depositions, so you could continue to use your third-party company, and then you could use this app.
Okay, so you guys deal strictly. I'm sorry, Mitch, in the OC, not in San Diego. Apologies.
Huge mistake.
Yeah. So you guys are dealing at this point primarily with the designation of the deposition. That's it. Okay, so the transcript. And once I've got my deposition or my transcript uploaded, can I go back and refer to that at any time?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Definitely. And the other thing I'll mention too is, when you are doing work and you're changing that data set, I mean, there's a lot of more technical things that it's doing. But one of the things that I think was important to mention is that it does archive all of your data as well. So anytime that the data is changing, you're doing that duplicate removal, overlap, and all that stuff, it does create a version of it that gets stored in the archive. So if you ever need to reference back to it, or if you've done something that you're concerned, you shouldn't have done, you've always got a backup of it too.
Okay. And I can go in, let me ask, Mitch has got more pertinent questions than I do because he's dealing with these all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bring his in again. Can we share with clients to review and work on as well? Oftentimes you have to, confer with clients as to what was said, and can they do that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you can create, and we've got 3 different account types. So the administrator of the account can invite, different users, and they'll have different permissions. If we've got the administrator level, we've got project managers, which have a little bit more power in terms of adding users to the case. And then we do have basic users that are just able to see cases that they've been given access to. So definitely you can add them as a user. They can log in, they can take a look, they can add stuff as they'd like. You can create an area for them to add their own designations so that you can review what they have suggested.
Okay, excellent. And then we've got one more from Nabil. He didn't use the question correctly, so I'm doing it for him. The time saved makes up for the $99 cost. Do you have an example of that? Any testimonials or any examples of how the 99 has made up for the cost, or the time saved?
I guess Chris
maybe,
freeze up.
Yeah, he maybe froze.
Okay. I guess it depends on what kind of firm you are, though. I mean, if you're working on contingency, absolutely gets you the case quicker, right? And every hour costs you more money.
Right.
Wait, hold on. He's texting me.
I just told him to refresh. So yeah, if you're going by the billable hour, then maybe if you compared it to your billable hour and it was going to take you 2 hours to do it, and you compared that to your billable hour, then I'm assuming the $99 is saving you money and time.
Well, yeah, and we're also not telling you to chop down your billable hours. We're just freeing you up to work on the stuff that's more important to you leading up to trial. So whatever you deem, I don't know about you, but highlighting and typing out designation sets doesn't seem like something's going to help me in the courtroom.
Depending, yeah, I may not be able to find it easily if I gotta, go through, that thing.
Exactly.
A problem for me. You back, Chris?
I'm back. Sorry about that. I'm having all sorts of issues over here this morning. So.
Not a problem. Not a problem. So the time saved makes up for the $99 cost. Have you guys had any use cases where they've told you about how much time it saved and given you an example of the money saved?
I mean, we've had many different examples of that. We've had people, most of the time it happens like, how did you do that so quickly? And people are honestly sort of shocked by it because we're able to turn around projects that were, week-long projects by a team, and now we can turn them around in 15 minutes. Yeah, go ahead, Pablo.
We have a trial tech using our software that actually finishes what he's doing and waits to send it back because he feels weird about sending it back so quickly. He feels like they're going to think he doesn't care.
Yeah, and that he's not doing his job or something like that. Interesting. And do you guys have, I don't want you to give away anything proprietary, but you have any idea of the size or types of firms that you are using your software right now?
Yeah, I mean, we've got all different types. We've got big nationwide firms. We've had small firms that are more into the simplicity of it. and some other folks are more into, the more complicated things and the technical aspects of it. One thing that I'll mention too is it's not just attorneys that are using it. Paralegals and trial technicians or trial consultants like myself would also find a lot of value in it to be able to get things turned around and situated the way they want them.
Excellent. And Pablo, I'm going to switch to Pablo for a minute here since he does the sales side of this. What difficulties have you had, Pablo? What difficulties have you had?
The initial one is I already have software. So I know that everybody has trial presentation software already, and it would be a pretty daunting thought to change your entire trial presentation software. But what we've done here, what Chris has done, is made a very user-friendly interface on the web that is the adoption is almost nil. Chris will go through the first couple transcripts with you, and it's nothing. I can understand changing an entire software suite because I've experienced that in other industries, and it's very scary. But this is literally just something that's helping you in a very specific task, saves you hours, and then formats your data perfectly for export into your trial presentation software.
Excellent. So and do you guys have interaction or how does that interact with the other trial software that people may be using, Chris? Is it simple? Is Trial Director the only one you're able to use, or are there others that you can export to?
Yeah, so right now we just have a Trial Director export kind of built in.
Okay.
But the way that the data is extracted, so the way that you can pull it down, you can use in pretty much any software that you want. And that isn't exclusive to trial presentation software. You can still use it if you're using like Case Notebook or Live Note or any of those applications. Opus 2 is another one that people like to use. And that kind of brings in an interesting section of something to talk about too, which is most of these softwares, the way that you enter data is through highlighting the transcript. And again, as we've already discussed, that's super time consuming. If things change, you've got to go into the transcript, you've got to look at the work that's done, and then you've got to make adjustments on the highlights. They do accept the designations in numeric format as well, but this is something that has to be formatted perfectly so that the data can get into the application. And that's what the huge problem is right now without using a software like Designation Station, is that people don't type stuff in anticipating it going into one of those applications where you need to have 2 page numbers, you need to have a line number, there needs to be a hyphen between the 2 designations. They may require tab delimited or a comma delimited file or something like that. This will clean up all that data before it goes into the application. So not just a trial presentation software, but once you got your clean data, you can really put it into anything. And it's since everything's standardized, it's really easy to manipulate.
Excellent. And
I see we have a question, Nick, right?
Yep, question from Nabil. Go for it. Let me read it out for those who may listen afterwards. Would an in-house counsel love this software and would want to have their outside counsel using it?
Absolutely. We've demoed our software to some large companies. They have this very same situation. And first of all, they can get their own login and kind of keep an eye on what outside counsel is doing. But at the same time, they absolutely want them to use it because it's going to cut down the time. I'm sure that they bill several hours with deposition designations, and this will cut a ton of that time out. So it's going to save them money in the long run.
Right. And that would be the idea, right? From in-house counsel, you're concerned about how much time and how big is the bill going to be. So interesting. And so what other, we've talked about it numerous times. We've got tech savvy attorneys in here with us, but have you found it difficult to get, has there been an age range of attorneys who are more willing to adapt to this? Or is there a demographic of attorneys who are more willing to adapt or adopt this tech or anything like that you've noticed in your business?
We haven't really been able to identify a pattern yet. people, like I said before, first they think they already have a software, and I try and say you have not seen this yet. But I think that the biggest issue is people love the software, but then there's still an entire another mountain range to get over to get them from love to use. And I can understand that. Like I said, I've been in another business where I used a lot of software, and it was a little scary to change. But this is such a small part of the process, and it's so easy because of the way Chris designed it. I guess I'm just trying to figure out how to get people to get over that next hump.
Right. The adoption, which we've found, it's, that the legal community, it's difficult to get them to change when they're entrenched in a certain way of doing things. And how have you reached out to them, Pablo? What has been your process? Maybe tell us a little bit about that struggle, if you feel comfortable to discuss it.
Absolutely. Everything you can imagine, face-to-face, telephone, email, LinkedIn. I'm going to an event tomorrow night in San Francisco. I think, Chris, you coming with me?
I'm coming.
Yes. It's actually ILTA. I don't know if you're familiar with them. Yeah. So the cool thing about that is the International Legal Technology Association. So I know that anybody that shows up there is into tech, for one, and for two, they're not working at the time that they're in front of me, so I can actually talk to them. So I'm pretty excited about that.
That's good. That's good. And Mitch says, focus on showing us lawyers how you can save us time and money, and you'll have us for life. And I think I've been found this pretty compelling as far as how you save time and money, Mitch. And I think, how would you take somebody like Mitch and save the client's money? Absolutely. Or Nabil, can you walk them through? Do you guys have like a demo account that you can walk an attorney through to show them exactly how it works? Or is the demo video the only example?
No, we do live demos quite often, actually.
Okay.
So if you're interested, reach out to us. And we can set up a demo to kind of show you, in more detail what the application is, how it works, what some of the features that, are too hard to discuss here without taking a look at it,
Sure.
and how those things can help save time.
Right.
I was going to say, Mitch, if Mitch could shed some light, Mitch, do you work on a contingency basis? And if so,
Most of the time.
okay. So $99 that's going to save you multiple hours. Is that something that would interest you?
And if you're free, Mitch, if you're free, you can jump in. Otherwise, we appreciate your comments and the we lost Chris for a second. He'll be back. He knows he's having some technical difficulties, but yeah, if you're free, Mitch, jump in. If not, totally understand. Oh, here we go. Let me accept you, Mitch.
Absolutely. Hey guys, how you doing?
Mitch.
Good to see you.
I'm doing fantastic. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Pablo. Nick, it's always good to see you. I wasn't planning on being on camera today, but this is a stimulating subject. I love it.
I love it.
And what a great idea. I was trying to wrap my head around. Hang on a second. Let me make sure I don't have anything Yeah, Nick knows how you jump on these things, and I don't want any client files, any depos that I'm highlighting longhand. It's taking me forever. Because I'm not using your software. Got to make sure it's not in plain view here. I think the interesting thing, and it sounds like you guys are nailing this right on the head, is if you can save everyone time, money, allow us to focus our attention on what we enjoy doing. I enjoy trying cases. I don't enjoy the paperwork part of trying cases, but as we all know, that's the important part, is being ready, right? I always tell my buddies that I grew up with, they go, "What's it like trying cases?" I say, "It's like Friday night football." It's like I still get the same butterflies in my stomach. I still get the same rush. I love it. But the reality is, whoever practices the hardest, whoever prepares the right way, which means paperwork, which means depositions, that's the team that's going to win on Friday night, all else being equal. So I love this type of technology because if it's used correctly, it allows us to play the best game possible when it comes to trying cases, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, gives you time in the other places that you want to spend time in your strategy or whatever is your favorite thing to prepare.
Absolutely.
Did you have any question, Mitch, maybe for Chris, who developed the software, or any way that you could see using it? Or
Well, I mean, my question is wrapped around, I asked it earlier, I'm able to coordinate with third parties, whether they're clients, whether they're other experts, whether they're other attorneys. We get asked to step in and try cases for other lawyers. And oftentimes the last thing I want is for them to dump off 6 boxes in my office. I mean, I'm into digital, and there's a more efficient way of me getting up to speed on a case. So it sounds to me as though your software will allow me to collaborate with all of the above at different levels, allowing them different access levels with respect to the transcripts, correct?
That's correct.
I mean, that's because that's a key thing. It has to do with client confidentiality issues. It has to do with attorney work product issues. Sometimes we don't want the clients to be bogged down. Here's what I'm getting at. If I give a client a 500-page deposition transcript, oftentimes I just want them to focus on 3 pages. I don't want them to worry about and get bogged down on the other 95% of the stuff, because it's just not going to be applicable to what they're testifying to. And it sounds to me like with what you guys are doing is I can piecemeal different sections, provide different access privileges, depending on who I'm sharing the transcript with using your software, correct?
Yeah, it's more of a project level at this point, but you could break that up however you want. So if you did want to create a project for a particular person to have access to, you could definitely do that. And that would restrict what transcripts are in there and what they could see.
Maybe one way would be, would I be able to give somebody access to the first 1/3 of a deposition transcript and then protect the remaining portions?
We don't have that level of specificity built in terms of locking people out of specific pages and things like that.
Okay.
But Chris, could he split it out and then upload it as a portion of the document?
You could, certainly.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a workaround for that. If that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, like either. All right, so I have my deposition. I don't want to take over the show here, but I have my deposition.
No.
I mean, you know, after 30 years, we have relationships with various deposition companies. Most of them are friends. So we have 10 depositions taken. We bring those we get the depos electronically emailed back to our firm, and we download them from a client portal of the deposition service. I've got the file on my local hard drive. I can then upload all or part of that depo file or in PDF into your software. I mean, is that basically how it works?
Kind of. So the 2 transcript file types that we take are text files and MDB files. The difference is the MDB file is a database file, and it contains the time code information so that you can get the run times and things like that. In terms of partially uploading something, that you can't partially upload something. But if you wanted to edit it before you uploaded it, you could certainly do that. So if you did want to remove pages and then do that.
Awesome.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, that you can make it work however you want to do it. But
and it's also not just transcripts, but it's also video depositions.
So we don't handle the video. The video will be cut in another application. And the reason for that, especially because I do that kind of work all the time, I didn't want to have another application that I was going to have to edit something in before moving it to the one that was actually going to be presenting in court. I'd rather have it done in the final application so I know how it's going to work. And I'm sure that everything's going to be perfect rather than trying to move things back and forth.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm getting ready for a big trial in 2 weeks. I'm not going to have a chance to dive in right away, but Nick's a friend of mine, and I'm going to spend more time at Designation Station at your website. I'll share it with other lawyers in Orange County, Nick, not San Diego. I know that a lot of you up north, you think we're all the same, but no, it's all good. And I will share this with my friends. I'd be happy to. I think it's a great idea. Anything that allows you to stay organized, focused on key issue areas, and save everybody time and money, I'm all in. So I just wanted to jump on and say hi and thanks guys for putting out this amazing software. Sounds like a great idea. Yes.
Mitch, you have a big trial coming up in 2 weeks. Do you have a lot of witnesses for that trial? A lot of transcripts to go through?
All the above, but thank goodness. Here's my little secret, and I was joking earlier about getting done. It's all done. I'm ready to go. I could start this trial tomorrow, and that's my secret.
Awesome.
Is not to wait till the last minute, right?
Right.
So you like to do it early in the process. That's what we're hoping that our product gets people to do, because a lot of people do it too late in the process. We're kind of hoping to cause a paradigm shift, and it seems like you're already there. So,
dude, you're looking at a paradigm shift. I love it. No, listen, guys. It's nice to meet you, and I will be in touch. Okay.
Thanks, Mitch.
Perfect.
Appreciate
Thanks.
it.
Nice to meet you.
See you. Have a good one.
So I'm glad he was able to come in because he's got a lot of great questions on it, on dealing with your type of software. So, is there anything else, Chris? What else would an attorney need to know that we maybe haven't covered yet? I think he posed some good questions about maybe some items you guys would be interested in considering in the future. And I understand that right now you're trying to just get them to adopt. And there's never enough time in a startup, right? You've got some great ideas, and that needs to be put. This one needs to be put front and center right now. Any other items to share?
I will say we've got a bunch of stuff that I think is going to be extremely beneficial that's kind of coming up. It's going to take a little time to get it all together, but I think it's going to be extremely useful. And the nice thing again is, we're not dealing with versions of the software. So everybody that is using the software will get the updates when it's ready to go. So it's not something you need to upgrade and do on everybody's system and all that sort of stuff. It'll just be there when it's ready to go.
Because it's on the cloud. It'll be in your account already. Yeah. And Pablo, any other items you'd like to share on today on Designation Station?
I think we pretty well covered it. It was great to have Mitch on. He asked some pertinent questions, but like Chris was saying, we're just kind of trying to make things easier for everybody, and
more cost effective.
Let us show them what we have. Yeah,
good. I like it. And so, that's all I have for right now. What I think we'll do is once we pause the recording, I'd like to give this thing a try and throw your guys your Go Animate video in here. We can, all three of us can still stay in, or we could even do it while on video and see how that comes out. It's 1 minute and 38 seconds, right?
Yep.
Yeah, let's give this a try while we're still on video. The audio will pick up for in the replay, but let's see how the video goes here with their new feature. Drop-ins won't show recording. Oh, it says it right here. Drop-ins won't show in recordings or audio archives, but we'll play it for those who are watching about how this system works, if you haven't yet watched the video. If it'll load.
Welcome, Marty.
Hi, Marty. How are you? Well, and it may be glitchy because it's a new feature. Pablo and I played with it a little earlier today. Well, let's wrap up and we'll try it on off the record. Again, I'm Nick Rishwain. I'm here with Chris Grimm of Designation Station, developer of Designation Station, and Pablo Zeiter. And what's your title, Pablo? I guess I don't know your title.
Market Outreach.
Market Outreach. And this blab has been brought to you by Experts.com. Thank you, Tamara, Nabil, and Mitch for joining. Much appreciated for the questions and interactions. Tamara, maybe you could touch base with Pablo and give him some ideas as other tools that may benefit investigators in the future. And I thank you all again for being here. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Pablo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Welcome.